That's correct. But
we had many Ottomans in my house. The men would sit with their feet up after a heavy meal. They would sit there with their socks and gagging from the food. That's all we knew what an Ottoman was. I was surprised as I got older and studied history that Ottoman referred to actually a period in time when the Muslims dominated the area. And, of course, once you find out what the Muslims did when they dominated, you find out, oh, my God, it's happening again.
Correct.
No, this is a very serious time, Avi. And we know why this is happening. Why is Obama on the wrong side of everything, in your opinion?
Because he's on one side, the Islamic side. And that's been the wrong side for centuries, and it continues to be the wrong side. That's why. That's basically.
But why is he on the Islamic side? Why would he do that? He's not that stupid. Why is he doing this?
He's doing that because that's what he was raised with. I mean, you expect a man with the name Hussein to be on the side of who?
Avi, are you sure you're not a fill-in host on my show under another name? Because it sounds like you're repeating what I've been saying for a long time. Well, I think any thinking person knows his name was not Barack Jesus Obama. Anyone knows that if your middle name is Hussein, you act like Hussein. And I don't mean King Hussein of Jordan. See, it wouldn't be bad if he acted like the King Hussein of Jordan, but he isn't. He's acting like the radical side of Hussein rather than the moderate side of Hussein.
Correct.
See, just the word Hussein per se doesn't mean you have to identify with the maniacs, as we well know. But he won't even give the good Hussein the weapons that the good Hussein wants. The good Hussein won't get weapons from the bad Hussein. Why is that? Because the bad Hussein is on the side of the very bad actors in the area. Okay, look. I'm sending you government zero, but you probably know everything that's in there. I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Why does Obama hate Putin? Why does he have a vendetta against Putin? In my previous book, Stop the Coming Civil War, I analyzed this, and I said it had something to do with Christianity, number one, and also to do with the issue of homosexuality. And I really stick to my guns on that. Do you know that there's only one country, one major country in the sphere, let's say, of Western powers, even though Russia's not a Western power, let's say of powerful nations, let's put it that way. There is only one powerful nation on earth that is not knuckled under to the homosexual powers that be, and that's Russia. And I believe that if you analyze part of the enmity coming out of the sorority, you will find a degree of enmity aimed at Russia related to this situation. Now, that's quite a classy way of putting it, isn't it? I mean, for a guy that you think can't use language or nuance to make his point, I think I just did. And so I think I'll take a quick break and not have a quick smoke on the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Your Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust for tangible assets, gold and silver. Call 800-BUICO. All right, my friends, people are freaked out about World War III, and we're praying that Putin shows more constraint than does the nervous and vindictive community organizer in the White House, who obviously gave the orders to shoot down the Russian plane as a provocation, hoping Russia would do something even more dramatic, and then triggering Article 5 of the NATO treaty. Most of you know what NATO is, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which never, ever, ever had any intention in its creation to have a Muslim nation like NATO, like Turkey in it, ever. It was never intended for that. But Obama has expanded NATO to include any nation that could threaten Russia. Any nation that could be a threat to Russia, he threw into NATO. So the key section of the NATO treaty is Article 5. It says that all member states consider an armed attack against one member state to be an armed attack against all of them. You know, all for one and one for all. And suddenly it's Robin Hood. We used to play that in the Bronx. We'd put our hand over hand over hand over hand, and we would say that. All for one and one for all, little kids when we were 5. But Obama likes that. He thinks it's a game. He thinks him and the hysterical girls who are running the world think it's all a game. I don't know how this ends. Do you know that this article has been invoked only once in NATO history? Only once. By the U.S. after the September 11th attacks in 2001. The invocation was confirmed on the 4th of October 01 when NATO determined that the attacks were indeed eligible under the terms of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. And so what's going to happen now is that if Russia does anything against Turkey, what will happen is the thin smoking man in the White House and the sorority, fraternity, whoever's running it, will probably say, that's an Article 5 right there. They'll have a meeting of NATO and they'll declare war against Russia, which is what the smoker's been wanting to do for a long time now in order to smoke out Putin. He wants to smoke Putin, in other words. So there we are. There we are. And the weird thing about Turkey, the odd thing, I don't, it's the wrong words, not odd or weird, sorry. It's from living in America too long that I'm using the wrong words. I don't like using colloquial expressions like that. They depress me. Becomes a cliche. The odd thing about Turkey is that Turkey was one of the most progressive nations in the world. You know, Turkey gave the women the right to vote before any other nation in the West. Did you know that? I don't know if you know this. This was after the horrendous crimes committed under the Ottoman Turks against the Christians. The burning of churches after locking the doors and killing all the Christians in them were amongst the more mild things that the Ottoman Turks, meaning the Muslims, did. They locked the doors of the church and set the churches on fire in Turkey, in Greece. They killed Christians by the millions. Take a look at the Armenian slaughter. Go and Google the Armenian slaughter and you'll see what's coming unless you wake up to the fact that those who do not know their history are condemned to repeat it. You are probably not aware of what happens under such circumstances. You didn't learn it in world history. Instead, you learned that the white man was evil. Savage Nation back in a minute. Be here or be nowhere.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282.
Darkness being ushered in by the sorority in the White House, there's just a hint of good news. ISIS has suffered a severe blow and has lost its entire top command in the area in one fell swoop. And by the way, the loss of their entire top command in the Golan Heights, ISIS now, was not at the hands of Russia, was not at the hands of the U.S., not at the hands of the Kurds, but at the hands of fellow Muslim fanatics. Did you hear what happened? An al-Qaeda suicide bomber took out the leadership of the key ISIS brigade in the Golan Heights. And in one fell swoop, he killed 7 of them. That was on November 15th, but it just came out today. It came at a top-level meeting of the Yarmouk Martyrs Brigade, a key ISIS militia known for its vicious hold over parts of the Golan Heights. 6 of the group's top leaders were killed, including Muhammad Abu Ali al-Baridi, the head of the group who went by the name The Uncle. Al-Nusra Front, al-Qaeda's Syrian affiliate, quickly took credit, gloating on Twitter about the heroic attack. So what does that mean to you? I don't know. But a veteran military correspondent for Israeli Daily, Alex Fishman, said this: the Islamic State ISIS that controls the closest area to the Israel border in the Syrian Golan Heights suffered a severe blow and lost its entire top command in the area in one fell swoop. And it was to a suicide bomber of another terror group that went in there and killed him. Can you believe this? Now, what this means in the long run, I don't know. But it's a successful suicide mission against a significant ISIS affiliate, which shows military experts that there's a degree of on-the-ground vulnerability within ISIS. And this could be interpreted as justification for those who argue that only boots on the ground can truly deal a crushing blow to ISIS. You hear? Because they have underground hiding places, and that ensures that they will likely not suffer casualties from airstrikes carried out by the U.S., France, and others. But if they can be reached by a suicide bomber like this, it means that boots on the ground could probably also do it. Now, that, of course, means somebody's son going in there and risking his life to do so. Who will be the first to step up and say, take my son? Who will be first to offer their blood? No one. Okay? Anyway, that just happened. At least was just released. It happened on November 15th. And so we see things going on now that we can't believe in front of our eyes. Who would have ever thought that Al-Nusra Front, a terror group, would send a suicide bomber to take out the leadership of the key ISIS brigade, a key ISIS brigade called the Yarmouk Martyrs Brigade, and blow him up and 6 other leaders? Who would believe this? Who would believe that this would ever happen in our lifetime? So here we are. Here we are. The plane gets shot down. Obama's gloating, trying to provoke Putin. Then helicopters are sent in to rescue the pilots who had already been killed by the vermin. The Turkmen shot them with machine guns as they were coming to Earth. I haven't seen that since World War II, when the Nazis did that to Allied pilots. Even the Vietnamese didn't shoot up pilots, by and large. Oh, yes, they tortured them and they put them into the Hanoi Hilton, as we know from McCain. But they didn't execute them. But here we have a different breed of humanity. I would say subhumanity is what this is. It's a subset of humanity that we're dealing with. It's a subhumanity that we're dealing with. This is not humanity. This is subhumanity. And people are afraid now of World War III. They're afraid of it because a U.S. weapon, anti-tank missile, a tow missile, was used to shoot down the Russian helicopters. Then in Tunisia, there was a bombing today. They killed 6 or 7 of the presidential guard. What's the difference between ISIS and Obama's armed rebels? What's the end game? Are we being drawn into World War III? I didn't get to the names of the refugee racket. I got to get back to that email, and I think this is as good a point to interject that as before, but I can't find it. I'd have to search for it. If it could be sent to me again, I'll be happy to open that one up. It's a nightmare, by the way, if you look at this. If you think that the refugees are being brought in here because people have bleeding hearts, in a certain way, you're right. There's a certain degree of the bleeding heart liberal out there, but that's not really why they're being brought in. It's because of money. Money, big money. I don't have the email. I'll have to look for it, and I'll get it for you before the show is over. Yep. Yes, indeedy. SBA Radio. Mark, go ahead, please. You're on the Savage Nation.
Thank you for taking my call. I have some strong suspicions that Turkey, under their administration, Islamist administration, is giving away a lot of NATO secrets to their Islamist buddies in Iran. I have those strong suspicions that they're doing it.
Well, you're guessing that it wouldn't be a paralogical guess. I mean, that Turkey's sharing NATO secrets with Iran. I would think that they're all bedfellows. So that would be logical, Mark.
Logical, but why doesn't? Well, obviously the answer is obvious. Why doesn't the administration do anything about it? But why doesn't the rest of NATO do anything about it? Like, get Turkey out of NATO. We don't need to be drawn into, God forbid, World War III over what Russia is doing, especially under this administration.
Right. Nobody wants World War III. And moreover, we know that even if Russian planes did incursion, they call it, into Turkey's airspace, it was very, very close to the border, number one. And number two, it was only for a few seconds. Now, what nation on earth would trigger a shoot down over an incident like this, other than a nation that wants to provoke war? Right, Mark?
Other than the nation that wants to provoke war, but do you think that Turkey's going to do that war with Russia? Or do they think that the fool in the White House is going to...
No, the fool in the White House would suddenly enact Article 5 of NATO. And the fool in the White House would say, now I have the pretext to declare war against Russia, using NATO against Russia, which is what he tried to do with Ukraine. He did the Ukraine, now he's doing Turkey. Any way he can, he's trying to provoke a war with Russia. I don't understand how the peaceniks don't see the danger he's putting the world into. I don't understand for the life of me how stupid peaceniks are. You know, I on the one hand, I would say, hey, they could say he's a wonderful president because he hasn't gotten us into any wars. And then the big picture, the economy's better than it was under Bush, who almost destroyed the economy. And we're not really at war. So what the heck? What are we going to worry about? In the big picture, he's better than a warmonger. That's how most liberals would think. But if they wake up today and see what this man is doing and not doing, they have to start questioning